professor, physician, epidemiologist. I am Dr. Sri Banerjee. Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Sri Banerjee, core faculty for the College of Health Sciences and Public Policy at Walden University. And in this video, I'm going to be going over how to conduct a power analysis calculation. I also have a joint appointment with Ross University School of Medicine, which I'm actually excited to be joining in this fall term, explaining just some of the basics of statistics. So this is a little bit more advanced, but the simple idea behind power analysis is this. What you're wanting to know is what is the minimum sample that you need in order to be able to see an observable effect. And this is an observable effect that may be statistically significantly different. So this can be actually conducted with numerous types of software. G-Power is one of the most premier types of software to be using out there for this type of analysis. It's recommended for sample size and power calculations for the F, the T, the chi-square, the Z, and the exact tests. So these are actually 5 different types. So the potential for a G-Power is really quite vast. And so it's important to be thinking about different parameters when you're performing a sample size calculation. And this paper goes through all of it. And the following factors, effect size, power, which is 1 minus beta, significance level, type of statistical analysis, all of these parameters are important to be keeping in mind, or factors, when you're doing a power calculation. You want to make sure your sample size is not too small, bottom line. So that's why the power analysis is how you're going to determine this. And this has been determined by the International Committee of Medical Journal Editors. And they provide they enable knowledgeable readers to have access to original data to verify results. So continuing onward through this paper, this goes into null testing, hypothesis testing. So if you're new to statistics, this is actually not a bad paper to go through. You might not understand all the concepts all simultaneously, but it will start to make sense. And go through this effect size. It shows the difference or the strength of relationships. And so it also represents a minimally clinically meaningful difference. So as size distribution units of the effect size vary between studies, the standardization of the effect size is usually performed for sample size calculation of power analysis. So power, alpha, type 1 error, type 2 error. And now you can talk about kind of the process of sample size calculation and power analysis. So the first step is to establish the research goals and hypotheses. Second, choose appropriate statistical tests that match up with the research goals and hypotheses. And this is an approach that you almost apply in every type of major research analysis, like grant writing, when you're applying for, writing proposals, all these things. These are all the necessary steps that are needed to get to a proper power analysis calculation. So what are you doing? You're establishing research goals, hypotheses, and then choosing the appropriate test. So are you going to be using F, which is like the regression analyses, a t-test, Actually, ANOVA is f-test as well. The t-test, the chi-square, the z-test, and the exact test. So these actually have, these test families have drop-down menus. So investigators actually can select the distribution-based approach or the designed-based approach, so based on statistical test. And you're probably better off using the distribution-based approach because you already know which test you're using. Then you choose one of 5 possible power analyses methods. So see now, then you branch out. And this choice can be made by considering the variables to be calculated. Then you would input the required variables for analysis, and just select the calculate button. And then number 5, then you have statistical examples of using G-Power. So I would really recommend. This is a nice article. There's not very many articles out there that spell out all the different steps that are needed and provide examples actually in there to apply some of this. And so here's the dependent t-test. Now, I'll give you a little heads up here. Usually the independent samples t-test is the most dominant type of test that is used out there. But this is going over ANOVA, and remember I told you the f-test is mainly with the ANOVA, and then Pearson Correlation, the Pearson R. You can actually run and this goes through very detailed steps as to how you can do that. And so this goes into the 2 independent proportions chi-square test, which is a very useful test in bivariate analysis, and then ends with the conclusion. So I hope this has provided you with a quick overview over how G-Power works and how, more importantly, the concepts of power analysis work together to help you understand what is the minimum sample size that you need to find an observable effect. Thank you for listening.